world. This is the Lars Larson Show.
Welcome back to the Lars Larson Show. Well, ICE is now using AI to scan billions of social media posts, but should the agency be using that to hunt illegal aliens online, or is that a dangerous step in the direction of mass surveillance? James Czerniawski joins me now, head of the Emerging Technology Policy area at Consumer Choice Center. James, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Lars.
Now, you got to know, if I've got a dog in the fight, I like what ICE is doing in America. I like the policies of Donald Trump of actually enforcing federal law. I want them to find people who are not in the country legally, and I want them to put them through the process and deport them or allow themselves to self-deport. How exactly do we know that ICE is using AI? And does this have the potential to be used in an adverse way toward people who are not illegal aliens?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lars. And
Sure.
The reality is that when we're looking at ICE, we know that they are utilizing artificial intelligence for scanning social media posts, because it was done through some reporting at The Verge and some other outlets picked up on it. This was noticed and figured out through public reporting of procurement documentation from ICE itself. They contracted through a different company to get this technology company called Signal. That's going to go and basically comb through all of these social media posts that are out there to help ICE with its mission for, tracking down illegal aliens for deportation. Like you mentioned at the outset, there's not anything inherently wrong with ICE wanting to go and do its mission for finding illegal aliens and putting them through the process of deporting them from the country, theoretically speaking. But that is not the same thing as what we're talking about here, where now that is a step above that, where now we're going and just basically greenlighting a surveillance state by constantly monitoring what's going on. It basically rings like the Minority Report, Lars, right?
Yeah,
like,
it does.
We're trying to go and monitor crime before it happens to go and do something here. And, I think when we started off at the start of this administration, and it was focused on the very violent criminals that were in this country, and that was what the focus was with ICE, I think that's kind of where you want to be focused. And this seems like a little bit of a side quest that might be detracting from the core mission that we want them focused on here. So it's pretty dangerous in my view that we're having this technology being employed in a way that can result in a surveillance-like kind of economy of Americans and illegal aliens alike.
Okay, so how do we draw a line and say, we want you to be able to use this tool to find criminals, but we don't want you to use it on just ordinary citizens? And is there a line there, or do you just say you're not allowed to use the tool at all?
Yeah, I think that the problem ends up being is that I don't know if you can go and draw that line effectively and expect the agencies to go and respect that boundary. I know I've gone on your program in the past to talk about government surveillance more broadly speaking. Yep. Last Congress had just gone through reauthorizing Section 702 of FISA, right? And one of the main issues there is that authority was meant for non-U.S. persons, and then lo and behold, the FBI was abusing that authority to go and spy on Americans all the same. And I think that that's the same kind of risk that gets posited here. Even if the intention is good and it is being, sold to us as the bill of goods of just focusing on illegal immigrants that are inside the United States, I am old enough to remember that, this FBI was going and abusing domestic, foreign surveillance authorities to go and, engage in domestic surveillance. And actually, there was just some reporting that I saw from somebody at the Conservative Partnership Institute yesterday of this broad dragnet that the FBI was doing on conservative organizations, people, et cetera, right? And the risk just seems too high here. And when you have Americans that are getting involved potentially underneath that surveillance, intentionally or otherwise, their due process rights are getting undermined here. And that's where I kind of struggle with the line drawing exercise that might happen otherwise.
Now, James, when you come on this show, you're going to get some weird comparisons by yours truly. And I'll apologize for it ahead of time. But one of my wife's favorite movies is Working Girl. Do you happen to remember that movie?
No, I don't think I got to see that one.
It's an old movie. It's a cute movie. But it's a young lady in it, and at one point it becomes very significant that she's reading, I think, page 6 out of the New York Post, the celebrity page. And it's got all these things about what celebrities are looking for new jobs or hunting for houses. And she puts all this together and figures out this massive business deal based on her observation of publicly available data. I mean, if I argued the devil's advocate or, the opposite, the contrarian point of view on ICE doing this, if ICE is saying we're looking at social media posts, meaning stuff that's posted to God and everybody. I mean, when you put a post up, it's going to anybody who happens to be looking at truth or at Blue Sky, if you're that liberal, or Instagram or whatever. And if you're saying, but I use this machine so that instead of looking at, a few hundred or maybe even a couple of thousand posts, we're going to look at millions or billions of posts, and we're going to look for patterns that an individual might see if they were like that character in Working Girl. But the machine will see it very, very quickly. And all it's really doing is pointing you in a direction saying, hey, this person kind of, maybe appears to be an illegal alien. They still have to make the case. If they're just looking at publicly available data that anybody else can look at, is there a problem there?
Sure. And I would actually point you, because basically what this is hybridizing here is leveraging artificial intelligence and predictive policing, which is trying to process data to go and identify where those trends that you're talking about as to where the crime might be, or in this case, where an illegal might be. The problem is that when it's wrong, or if there's bad data that's getting input into the system, because that's what it's reliant upon, the consequences can be dire. I remember in Florida, for instance, there was a program that was using predictive policing, which was leveraging artificial intelligence in its own right. And law enforcement had produced a list, and they were going and basically harassing all these people that were flagged by this list as potential reoffenders. And one of the people that they visited ended up having a cardiac incident from a nervous breakdown, a panic attack, actually, and they had to go to the hospital as a result of that. And they didn't do anything wrong otherwise. It's a philosophical question, I think, of like, now you're basically treating everybody as guilty until proven innocent, and that's antithetical to our due process rights that are underneath the Constitution if we're Americans. Again, even if it's noble in intent and we're trying to go and deal with the issue of illegal immigration in the United States, which was legitimate, and I think the Trump administration has certainly done a heck of a job in terms of trying to tackle that since coming back into office. I think that's totally understandable, but we can go about it the right way. I don't think that needs to be cut a blank check for them to tackle it, however means necessary, right? Because our morality and everything else, I still think, has to go and play into it.
No, I'm with you there all day long. Although when you read about the cops who happen to, I-35 that runs up the East Coast, and you've got cops who seem to be able to pick the folks who are driving at the speed limit in a certain kind of car, two guys in the front seat. You say, yeah, I think they've got drugs in their trunk. And you say, that's legitimate. So you can have the trooper's gut check, and it tells him, and then he just needs to find a legal reason, a predicate, to be able to pull the car over. But if it's a machine doing it, then it's something else entirely. So I think it is tough to draw those lines. James Czerniawski is the head of emerging technology policy at the Consumer Choice Center. James, thanks very much.